The following presentation features the use of a Lincoln Electric combination wire feed welder. For best results, always use Lincoln wire and replacement parts. This is your best assurance for premium feedability and trouble-free operation.
Lincoln Electric, world leader in the manufacture of arc welding products, welcomes you to a new era in workshop welding. Welding with WeldPak 100 and 155 arc welders. The WeldPak welders were especially designed and engineered for easy operating, safety, and long-term service in your shop or on the farm. Manufactured with all the care and attention that goes into all Lincoln products. Equipment that has set the standard in industrial welding for nearly a century, so you'll enjoy many years of dependable, trouble-free service.
Whether you're the new owner of the 115-volt input WeldPak 100 or the 230-volt WeldPak 155, you've made a solid investment. Both are quality welders that will serve you dependably for years. And they're backed with our commitment to customer satisfaction.
Your new compact, lightweight welder is an easily portable power source and wire feeder combination. It's been designed for workshop, hobby, and light maintenance uses, even general purpose welding with self-shielded flux cord inner shield wire or solid wire with shielding gas. For MIG welding, there are optional kits for each machine. Both machines can be used to weld low-carbon steels with the FCAW and GMAW processes. Your manual lists wire types and sizes and recommended shielding gases for many welding applications.
You're probably eager to start welding, but before you do, finish watching this section of the video. Then read through the enclosed welding guide before viewing the rest of the tape. For your convenience, we've coded each section of the video for easy review. Check the table of contents for sections you want to review. Then shuttle through the tape until you find the corresponding section on the tape. In the back of the Welder's Guide, you'll find listings of other welding publications that might be helpful. Now, stop the tape and read the Welder's Guide. Then we'll look at some welding basics.
In simple terms, welding is melting two pieces of metal together using localized high-intensity heat. In arc welding, the heat is generated by electric current that flows from the machine through the gun and cable assembly and contact tip to the wire and across the arc. On the work side of the arc, current flows through the base metal to the work clamp and back to the machine. During the welding process, the arc forms a pool or puddle. To assure a solid weld, this puddle must be filled with additional weld metal from the weld wire. You are also probably aware that the weld must be protected from the surrounding air to prevent weld defects. The easiest way to do this is by welding with self-shielded flux cord wire or inner shield. The core materials burn in the arc to create a shield of gas that keeps air away from the molten metal. You can also keep air away from the weld area by introducing a shielding gas. This method is known as MIG welding.
You'll find that most metal items around the farm, home, or workshop are made of low-carbon steels. They are also called mild steel. They are easily welded. Your WeldPak welder can handle any of these light-gauge, low-carbon steel materials. Some steel, however, contains higher carbon levels or other alloys and are more difficult to weld. These samples or exotic metals are not recommended for welding with your wire feed welder. Basically, if a magnet sticks to the metal and you can cut the metal easily with a file, chances are very good that you will be able to weld the material successfully with your new machine. The Lincoln publication, New Lessons in Arc Welding, provides in-depth detail for identifying various types of steel and other metals, and the proper procedures for welding them.
These wire feed welders are protected by a thermostat and a circuit breaker. The machines shut down if their amperage ratings are exceeded or if the machines start to overheat. There's no question that welding with any machine can be dangerous if strict safety procedures are not followed. If you adhere to the precautions exactly every time, you will minimize or eliminate the hazards from electric shock, arc rays, fumes and gases, and stray welding sparks. You will avoid fire hazards by keeping your workplace clean and free of fuels, chemicals, paints, solvents, and other materials that can ignite if struck by a hot welding spark. Of course, a fire extinguisher should be handy.
Your workspace should be out of the way so that others don't inadvertently look at the arc, get struck by a spark, or distract you from what you are doing. Suitable dress includes dry clothing made from flame-resistant materials. Cotton or cotton blends are good choices. Long-sleeve shirts and long pants without cuffs to catch hot weld spatter shield your body against sparks and arc rays. Dry, hole-free leather work gloves help protect hands from the danger of burns from hot metal and electric shock. Keep them dry. High-topped leather footwear is best. Longer hair should be tied back or tucked under a hat.
The tools needed for safe operation include face shields with arc welding filter lenses for you and any assistant, pliers for picking up hot metal, a chipping hammer, safety glasses, wire cutter, a wire brush, and clamps. Your body should not come in contact with the welding circuit. If your body or part of your body could come in contact with the metal being welded, insulate yourself from the workpiece and the welding circuit by using a non-conductive, non-flammable material such as a rubber mat or masonite. Remember, the electrodes and work circuits are electrically hot whenever the welder is on and the gun trigger is pressed. Before you start welding, make sure the workpiece is clean and free of contaminants that may ignite or generate toxic fumes. Galvanized or painted steels are typical sources. Never weld on containers that have held combustibles such as gas cans, paint cans, or even hydraulic hoses. They could explode. If you're not sure, don't weld on it. And always disconnect electrical devices before welding on them. Always try to work in a comfortable position. If you must work in an awkward position, take additional care to avoid falling. Fumes and gases are a normal byproduct of the welding process. Proper ventilation or exhaust, or both, at the arc will keep fumes away from your breathing zone. Keep your head away from the fumes. Always turn off and unplug the unit when you're not welding, and before replacing wire, gun tips, and gun and cable assemblies. And finally, improperly maintained equipment always poses the potential for problems. Be sure that all connections are tight, that there are no breaks in the cable or gun insulation, and make sure that all components are in proper working order. Never weld with equipment that has damaged or missing insulation. Your new wire feed welder will soon become a reliable, safe tool if you adhere to the safety guidelines and use common sense. But remember, safety depends on you.
As shipped from the factory, your new welder has everything you need to start inner shield or flux cord welding. To be a real pro, you'll need leather gloves, safety glasses, a chipping hammer, a wire brush, clamp, pliers, and a fire extinguisher. If you don't already have these items, we recommend that you purchase them before you start welding. They'll come in handy and make your job easier and safer. Your wire feed welder must be plugged into the proper receptacle and connected to system ground approved by the National Electric Code and local codes. But be sure to select a circuit that has few or no other appliances also drawing power. This will eliminate tripping the building circuit breakers or blowing a fuse.
Extension cords for the WeldPak 100, if required, must be rated for the application and have number 14 AWG wire, 3 conductor or larger. Maximum length should be 25 feet with number 14, 50 feet with number 12. Extension cords for the WeldPak 155, if required, must be rated for the application and have number 12, 3-conductor or more. Maximum length should be 50 feet with this size wire. Use grounded outlets only. Do not use an adapter. Have a qualified electrician install a grounded outlet for you. The welder should be installed in a dry area, and there should be open area around the louvers, front and back. Be sure you can open the access door on the side of the unit. After the machine has been set up and the gun and work cables have been installed according to the instructions in your welding guide, you can then prepare the unit for welding. Detach the end of the wire from the spool. Don't release the wire or it will unwind. Cut the bent portion off. Straighten the first 4 inches. Then thread the wire through the ingoing guide tube, over the drive roll, and into the outgoing guide tube. Now remove the contact tip at the end on the end of the gun cable assembly. This idler pressure adjustment wing nut is usually set for about mid-position on the pressure arm threads. Slightly less pressure may be needed with 023 to 025 wire. If the drive roll slips, increase the pressure until slipping stops. If the wire becomes flattened excessively, turn the pressure adjustment counterclockwise to reduce the distortion. Close up the unit, plug it in, turn it on, and turn up the wire speed control. After straightening the cable, squeeze the gun trigger and feed the wire through the cable. Hold the gun away from yourself and others while feeding wire. When the wire is exposed, stop feeding wire and replace the contact tip tightly. Then cut off the wire about 3/8 inch from the end of the tip. Also keep in mind that the 3/8 inch stickout is important while welding. The setup for inner shield welding is now complete.
No one can be an accomplished welder by watching this video or reading books about welding. As with so many things, the key to success is practice. But this brief overview will get you started and help you develop your skills. More details are in your welder's guide and in new lessons in arc welding. There are 5 basic welding joints or ways to join metal together: butt welds, fillet welds, lap welds, edge welds, and corner welds. Of these, the butt and fillet are most common. But regardless of the type or gauge steel or the weld joint, successful welding starts with proper surface preparation. The area to be welded should be free of rust, paint, oil, or other contaminants. Sand, grind, or wire brush the work area. Remove any traces of solvent you may have used to clean off oil.
Now, let's take a look at a specific example. Here, we are using 2 pieces of 16 gauge material. Set the voltage and wire speed according to the chart on the inside of the wire feed section door. If you're unsure of the metal thickness, check it against the gauge chart on the same door. Once you've adjusted the settings, attach the work clamp as close to the joint as you can. Be sure it makes good electrical contact. This will reduce the resistance in the welding circuit and let your weld pack unit perform efficiently. And you'll avoid extending the circuit and accidentally damaging other parts. Also, use care in preventing the electrical circuit from going through hinges, chain hoists, or electrical components. It can severely damage them. If you are right-handed, hold the gun in your right hand and the hand shield in your left. Weld left to right, tilting the gun in the direction of travel. This enables you to clearly see what you are doing. Left-handers simply need to do the opposite. If possible, clamp the work pieces together. Then turn on the machine, squeeze the gun trigger, and tack the material in position to make an open corner weld. To minimize distortion, place tack welds 3 inches apart. Here's what a good tack weld looks like. Now you can begin welding. Again, to minimize distortion, weld with a backstepping technique. The important thing to watch while welding is not the arc, but the molten puddle right behind it. And remember, you should always maintain the proper 3/8 inch electrode stickout beyond the contact tip while welding. When finished, let the workpiece cool. Remove the slag with your hammer and examine the weld. This is an example of a properly completed weld. And this is an example of an improperly made weld. It was done without proper tacking and no backstepping.
The most common mistake of beginning wire welders is not fully completing the electrical circuit with a sound metal-to-metal connection. Without a completed circuit, there will be no arc. Beginners also tend to weld too fast. The result is a thin, uneven bead and poor penetration. The weld is only as strong as the penetration. With 100% penetration, the weld will actually be stronger than the metal itself. On thicker plate, you may have to slow down even further to get proper penetration. Keep in mind, though, that there are cases when welding too slow can cause other problems. When welding on thinner plate, you may have to increase welding speed to prevent the arc from burning through, that is, burning a hole in the base metal. In your welder's guide is a practice exercise that will help you hone your welding skills, and there are tips on running beads and gaining proper penetration for all the various types of welding joints. In addition, your welder's guide contains a section on troubleshooting welds with photographs to help you identify and solve problems you might encounter.
Your new wire feed welder can also be used for MIG welding. Extend your welding capabilities with this optional MIG adapter kit. Enjoy the ability to weld with either the inner shield or MIG process to better fit all your welding needs. You will need to obtain from your local welding supplier a cylinder of carbon dioxide, CO2, or CO2 argon gas blend to serve as shielding gas, along with a list of safe handling procedures. Weld Pack 100 and 155 have optional MIG conversion kits available. They include a gas solenoid, gas regulator, gas hose, and a CO2 cylinder adapter. 025L56 wire is also supplied. The actual welding process is similar to inner shield welding. Here's how a MIG weld should look. Notice that there is no slag to remove. However, there are some very important differences to be aware of, like reversing the weld pack's polarity. Consult your welder's guide for the details on the necessary additional equipment and to safely set up your new machine for MIG welding.
Routine care, maintenance, and storage of your welder is easy, and when properly cared for, it will provide years of trouble-free performance. Take care not to kink or pull cables around corners. Do not allow anything to roll over the cables. When storing the unit, carefully coil the cables to get them out of the way. You may also want to cover the unit to protect it from dust. Of course, never leave it where children can get to it or in very damp locations.
You should occasionally vacuum out the welder to eliminate excessive dirt and dust buildup on internal parts. When necessary, vacuum dirt from the gearbox and wire feed section. Inspect the incoming tube and clean the inside of it if needed. The wire feed motor, fan motor, gearbox, and wire reel spindle have lifetime lubrication and require no maintenance. Keep in mind that the contact tip does wear out and occasionally needs replacing, typically when the hole in the contact tip becomes elongated or if the tip contacts the molten puddle. Because of the gun assembly design, the changeover is quick and easy. Replacement tips, wire, and other welding supplies are available at your local welding supply distributor. The Welder's Guide has a complete list of part numbers. And of course, should your welder require professional service, your Lincoln Field Service Shop is only a phone call away. Let's quickly review some key points. Your new welder can handle most light gauge, mild steel. If the metal passes the magnet and file test, chances are you'll be able to weld the material. Remember to consult the chart on the inside of the wire feed section door for proper voltage and wire feed settings. The chart can also help you gauge metal thickness. Be sure the work clamp makes good contact in order to establish the welding circuit. And after establishing an arc, watch the puddle to determine the appropriate travel speed. And most important, observe proper safety precautions for yourself and others in the area.
If needed, shuttle through the tape to any section you wish to review. And remember to read through the Welder's Guide. It contains valuable information. With practice and strict adherence to safety procedures, you will soon become an accomplished welder. You will enjoy years of trouble-free service from your versatile Lincoln Electric wire feed welder. Good luck and happy welding!